welcome to Before I Do, the show that talks about what should be done before I do. For those of you who are engaged, you're dating, maybe you're married and you're still tuning in, we welcome you as well. Maybe you're thinking about getting married. Maybe you don't think you want to be married. You still need to tune in Before I Do, because our goal is to facilitate courageous conversations on topics that are relative to dating and relationships in general.
Now, this is intended to be an interactive show, so this is call and response. And so we do ask you to place your comments and your questions in the chat, and we will be happy to get to them. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Before I Do. We are reviewing and going over the ever popular digital virtual phenomenon of memes.
Yes, memes.
Yes.
Okay, and so tonight's topic is memes, 10 ugly truths about dating. This is the month of October, right? And this is the month where all the scary movies come out. And for those of you who love scary movies, you are by yourself.
Absolutely.
Because I can't do it.
No, that's not my lane at all.
All right, so we definitely have a treat for you this evening. We've picked 10 memes that really point out the ugly truth about dating. Now, we know that a lot of times when truth occurs, sometimes there's humor, right? And memes are, what's a meme? Because to be honest, you started mentioning meme to me way before. I was like, what are you talking about? What's a meme?
Sure. So a meme is a picture, and it usually has some type of caption or text that usually has a humorous edge to it, but there is a message that's involved in it as well. And so Jamie Cohen, who's the assistant professor at the Queens College in New York, says memes have a surprising power. They can influence how you view and respond to the world around you. And part of memes' appeal is that they can shrink complicated issues into easily digestible snapshots. And that's one of the reasons why you also have to be concerned, because it's important to take into consideration the context of the meme. Because while it may be presenting and forward-facing one particular theme, it may not be taking into account some of the surrounding factors that may be influencing that particular message. And obviously, too, when it comes to the picture that is shown, that picture could be a part of an event or a larger composite that may influence that particular scenario, or the messaging may not really be directly connected to that image at all as far as intrinsically, but just the individual that has constructed and put that meme together decided to take this picture and what's inferred, take this message and meld them both together. And so people love them. People love making their own memes. And part of the challenge is that it is a really great way to get messages out there, but they can oftentimes be misconstrued. However, Before I Do in this show, what we want to focus on are the truths and the nuggets of knowledge and information that are contained in memes, and extract the value from it.
And so the way we're doing that is we're going to study the words.
Yes.
Right? We're going to utilize it to think critically about what the messaging is. We want to check our feelings.
Yes.
We want to make sure we also seize that opportunity to really just take advantage of what the messaging is.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we want to start tonight with the question. So what is your ugly truth about dating? We're talking about the ugly, scary truth regarding memes. And so what is your ugly truth about dating? So here I am. I am dating my wife for life.
Yes.
I am dating my wife for life. And so I will share with you what my ugly truth was then and what my ugly truth is now. So my ugly truth then, and I noticed it, is that I found myself dating women that I had absolutely no idea how to deal with. They were strong, they were opinionated, they had a strong sense of self. And you're probably saying, wow, that sounds really great. It does sound great when you have a strong sense of self, when you know who you are. But oftentimes in a patriarchal, misogynistic world, when you're dating someone who doesn't immediately just acquiesce to your viewpoint, that doesn't always agree with you, that isn't always quick to just adopt your perspective, that can become a very complicated thing when you live in the skin that I'm in. And so I always found myself dealing with these amazing, beautiful, powerful
Curvy.
women, curvy, absolutely, that I had absolutely no idea how to deal with. And part of that was because I was still figuring out and really embracing who I was. And so I was challenged and I was conflicted a lot until I realized that I wasn't necessarily dating for where and who I was at the time. I was dating for who I was, but hadn't come into the realization of it. But I was also dating for where I was going in life. And so that was one of my ugly truths that I had to embrace. And my ugly truth now is that I am constantly trying to impress my wife. I am constantly trying to come up with different things that she enjoys, that she likes, tries to surprise a person who doesn't like being surprised.
I was also, say, why is that ugly?
Yeah, but because you also don't want to fall into the habit of just doing the same things over and over again.
Okay.
And just, going the same places, doing the same things, even though, again, you like peace in continuity and consistency and in regularity. But, just having some variety is important, because that's also exploratory as well, especially when you talk about the experiential side of intimacy and being able to take risk and really delve into different things together. And it can be ugly when you guess wrong, and it can be a difficult thing to get yourself back up again when you make a decision that was not popular, when you set up something that didn't go according to plan. And so my ugly truth about dating is learning how to be a risk taker, learning how to get up, dust yourself off, and be excited about the process all over again when you fall. And really is a challenge for me, but I'm learning to embrace it.
Got it. So I will say my ugly truth. The ugly truth about dating for me, before we got married and just dating, was the fact that for me, we're living in a day and age where you really would go on a date with somebody that you have not talked to and had and developed a level of intellectual intimacy with. I realize that is very important to me, to be able to have a conversation with you, to have definitely those intellectual connections. And so the ugly truth about dating for me back then was to go on a date with someone who, we're trying to gather that in person, face to face. That was like a scary movie. That was like Freddy Krueger, Jason, all over again. The background music that you hear when they about to slice somebody up. That's exactly what that whole experience on my inside parts was like. And so my current ugly truth about dating is, I guess that I think the benefit of dating now and what I've learned in all of these years is I really make better connections with people through the experiential intimacy when we're exploring something. So I don't have to sit across from you. I don't have to feel like you're analyzing every bite that I take with my food, and the awkward sitting across from each other face to face versus side by side doing something together. And so I challenge you out there, when you think about what is the ideal dating scenario for you, what does that look like? Because for me, it was like a scary movie, the whole sitting across from somebody, asking the right questions, trying not to ask the wrong questions, trying not to stare at them in their eyes too long without feeling like, And so for me, side by side dating, that was more comfortable. Us doing something together that we could laugh, that we could learn something together or explore something together. That side by side dates were a lot better than that face to face.
You're tuned into Before I Do. Tonight, we're talking about memes, the ugly truth about dating, and we are going to take a really quick commercial break. Our Speak Now question that we need you to put in the chat, in the comment section, is, what is your ugly truth about dating? And we will be right back with more Before I Do.
Welcome to the Couples Academy app. The Couples Academy app is your go-to hub for how to do marriage right. Get started with our app today by perusing our amazing features that conveniently allow you to connect. This app is packed with powerful content and resources to help you grow and stay connected. With this app, you can watch our messages, find marriage resources, Watch, listen, and read the real-life stories of restored couples. Sign up for events, read articles and blog posts, stay up to date with push notifications, share your favorite messages via Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or email, and download messages for offline listening. For more information about the Couples Academy app, go to couplesacademy.org.
All right, welcome back to Before I Do. We're talking about the ugly truth about dating, and we're about to get into our memes. We have about 10 of them tonight we want to share with you. But before we do, go to the comment section. Go ahead and put, what is your ugly truth about dating? We want to know. All right, somebody else can grow, glow, learn from it. So we want to hear, what's your ugly truth about dating?
Want to give a quick shout out to Dr. Elizabeth Horridge Freeman. She says, I love this show. This is great for married couples. Thank you so much, Dr. Horridge Freeman, for tuning in. And absolutely. And again, notice that even though we're married, we talked about dating as well, because we are dating one another. We are dating for life. But for those of you who are dating to either be married or dating just to be dating or single or engaged, then we're going to talk a little bit about some of the ugly truth when it comes to dating. So meme number one. Meme number one says, this is an example of me trying to get into a healthy relationship. So this can actually speak to a couple of different things. It can speak to incompatibility. So when you're trying to force fit two individuals or fit this person into your life, and you're not really jiving together. And oftentimes that can be because this person is they have something that we really want, and we're willing to overlook some of the red flags, some of the challenges, everything that is telling us that this is not someone that I am going to be able to have a future with, but ignoring all of that. And so even as you see in the picture, this is uncomfortable. This isn't functional. This isn't good for the foot or the shoe. But it's just like, and I'm not going to look at nobody. I'm not going to call anybody out. But this is like, you see a pair of shoes, right? And this is a perfect example. You see a pair of shoes, and the shoes are beautiful. They look great. They're awesome. Gorgeous. But you ask, do you have this in a so-and-so? And they do not have them in your size. And even worse, it's like a half size, so it's just off. It's like a half size too small. And so what do? You buy the shoes? You try them on anyway. You try them on anyway, and you try them on, and you're like, I know these are too small. I'll get used to. I'll stretch them out. But you end up making a bad purchase because you're ignoring all of the other things that are saying that this is not a good fit for me. Let me tell you, if I had to look at this meme and dissect it, I'm like, I have big feet, and I have where I'm trying to go, I'm going big places, right? I have big ideas, I have big dreams, big principles. Does this person fit into that? Because again, I'm looking at the small shoes, but I'm looking at my big feet. Sure. And so the bottom line is you want to align yourself with someone that is going where you are going. Somebody is called to fit in to the goals and the purpose of your individual calling. And yes, they're going to have a calling, and if we are meant to be together, we're going to have a collective calling. But based on the size of those shoes, all right, it is dangerous. Scary movie dangerous. To align yourself with someone that has very small thinking or small. They're taking baby steps and you taking big leaps. And it's important to remember too. I'm ringing the bell on myself for that one. But it's important to remember too also that just because you and another person aren't a good fit, it doesn't mean that they're a bad person. Absolutely. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong with them. That's right. People get into this place where that the person isn't a good person just because they're not a good fit with them. And that isn't necessarily true. Because two people are not compatible, it doesn't make one person good and one person bad. So it's important to recognize and value individuals, just as Charmaine mentioned, and the role that they have in your life, and if you're able to move forward with them. Absolutely. We have another comment. Thank you. It says, ugly truth. I'm married, but I'm not a risk taker.
but I want to be. And I'm learning to date for life.
Excellent. Can you ring the bell for that, please?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I would push back against Dr. Orange Freeman as well. She would say she's not a risk taker. She has written books. She's been on talk shows.
Oh, that's true.
She is living her best life. And
that's scary for some people. That's a scary movie for some people. And so that is big risk taking.
So Dr. Orange Freeman, in that, what I would say is you may want to look at what your definition of risk taking is.
Absolutely.
Because you may not necessarily be living in what your perspective of what a risk taker is, but it doesn't mean you're not actually taking risks, because you absolutely are.
And that challenges you to really write down what would you taking a risk look, feel, and sound like, doubt. And coming up with a challenge.
Absolutely.
All right, our next one. This one says, him. How is it possible that you're still single? ? Me. You're really YOU, comma RE. Like, we know this is a grammatical situation. This is a situationship right here. Now, some of you all are very proficient in the English language, and we know language is an art, but there are certain rules that have to be followed. Okay, so if this is you, I just really want you to just wave your hand in the air and acknowledge it. If you are one of those people that you recognize when somebody has made the mistake of using your and your, right? Or there and there, you know who I'm talking about. And it just, the hairs on your arms just curl, or the hair on your neck just stand still when somebody makes this grammatical error. Is this reason for you to be like, I cannot date somebody that does not know the difference between your and your?
Well, it does speak to the priority of the person. Okay. That may be part of their priority, is the idea of, we call those individuals the grammar police, the punctuation police, the grammar sheriffs, right? And again, that may be important to them, but the question then leads into the assumptions about their intelligence based on grammar,
their ability to spell.
Exactly. And also too, remember that there are certain people that they may speak very well, but they may not type or write as well as they speak. And there are individuals that they may write very well, but they may not speak as well as they write. And so there are certain people I know out there right now, they need to have both. They need to be able to speak it and write it well, and that's fine. But we have to be careful of preconceived notions, is what we're getting to. That based on an individual making a grammatical error, and I'm one of those people that, and you are as well, that we pine over missing a word, like when you send an email or you make an error, and it's like, oh Lord, people gonna think I'm stupid. I'm gonna get fired. We are those type of people that. We know that people will make assessments based on a small body of a small sample of work.
Okay, so I'm gonna ugly truth moment for me. So when I first met Walter, I will admit I completely my judgments and observations were not accurate. Okay, a lot of them were way off. However, I'm going to tell you my ugly truth. When I went back, we have tons of love letters, okay, that we wrote each other over the course of the 9 months. We had long distance relationship, love letters. When I go back and I read those letters, sometimes I feel like I really need to go back and find my English teachers and be like, how did I get A's and B's? Because I couldn't spell, y'all. I had a bunch of, and this one right here, he's good at spelling. Okay, so I'm thankful.
I loved it anyway. I loved you anyway.
I'm thankful.
I loved you anyway.
Yes, that you just didn't judge my whole life. Love lifted me.
I was not going to let a couple of misspelled words and grammatical errors prevent me from finding love. I was not going to do it. So again, if this is your priority, absolutely. But again, you want to be careful that you're not making assumptions and going off of preconceived notions, based off a small body of work.
All right, let's go into our next
number 3. All right, so number 3, getting all prettied up and then your date calls to cancel. All right, so
what do you do?
What do you do?
What do you do? You looking good, you smelling good. I mean, you took a bath, you done, the teeth are nice and white and polished, and you are looking good, okay? Yeah. And then you get the text message. First of all, don't do that. Don't text somebody and tell them you're flaking and you're canceling the date. But you get the call and they cancel. So this is an ugly truth about
Yes.
dating, because people do flake on you. They don't show up for the date. And so now, what do?
Yeah. So first thing is never refuse an opportunity to date yourself. Can you ring the bell for that, please?
Yes.
Never refuse an opportunity to date yourself.
Why though?
Well, it's important because it allows you to get to know you, and you have to make sure that you are investing and pouring into yourself.
Because you are
Yes.
in a relationship with
you.
yourself
Exactly.
for life.
And part of the challenge in a situation like this is that if you allow yourself not to do something for you in this moment, then bitterness can set in, because now you have placed your this opportunity to enjoy life in somebody else's hands, and because they don't want to go, now I'm shut down, now I'm not going anywhere, I'm not doing anything, now I'm upset, now I'm angry. Well, why don't you go? You were going to go out, take you out. Since the person didn't show up,
That's right.
take you out.
This goes back to your circle of concern, your circle of influence, and your circle of control. You have control, and you can choose to be upset, or you can choose to say, I'm looking good, I'm smelling nice, I took the time, right, to put all of this together, and I'm going to go out. I'm going to take myself out to dinner, and I'm going to go spend time with myself. That is powerful, because when you have that, a lot of times when you're married, and unfortunately, couples who've been married a long time, sometimes they develop a sense of codependence.
Exactly.
That is unhealthy. And then if something happens or a spouse transitions, they have to reintroduce themselves to this part of loving on themselves and dating themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's important not to lose self, and to use those as an opportunity to really pour and invest into yourself. All right, meme number 4.
All right, here we go. I am single because nobody believes I'm single. Is that you? I mean, you just look good. You are beautiful. You are fine. You are so attractive, handsome. And everybody always assumes that you're in a relationship because you're so attractive. And because you're such a nice person, you're personable, you're friends and cool with everyone. Nobody ever believes that you're not dating anyone. Is that you?
Can I share something really quick? So if you are available and you want people to know that you're available, make yourself available.
Okay, yep. You say that like that's easy. I would be one of those people to push back. How am I supposed to make people believe I'm available if I continue to tell people I'm not in a relationship?
Absolutely. So here's the thing. So part of it is being social. Part of it is saying yes to some of the invitations to be out, to be seen, to be in certain circles, so that you can interact and be around people. Sometimes people make the assumption that you're not available because you are unavailable as it relates to the accessibility to you. So it's important to be accessible. Now, I do want to provide this caveat. You do also want to make sure that you make yourself that when it comes to individuals that are courageous in approaching you, that you want to set yourself aside for that. In other words, you're not just throwing yourself at the world, but what you are doing is positioning yourself for those individuals that are courageous enough to come up and have a conversation and bowl with you. But if you're not out where people can, where you're accessible, where people can get to you, then how are we even going to know? So it's having that self-awareness and making yourself available, but also too, you don't have to advertise that you're single. Sometimes it's just being out so that you're accessible.
I will tell you that this meme, there's a lot of truth, ugly truth in this meme, because for the very attractive introvert, you have a layer of complexity that if you're an introvert and sometimes you're also socially awkward in that way, this can be a big challenge. You can make yourself accessible, but at the same time, sometimes people just still don't believe that you're single. And so being out around other people, like, you really have to just hang out with friends and people that help to support you in this process. Absolutely. Because if you're already socially awkward, you're in an uncomfortable environment, not around people you know and are comfortable with, it can come off as you're standoffish, you're stuck up, you're saying you're single, but you don't act like you really want to date, when really sometimes people don't give very attractive people the benefit of the doubt that maybe they're just shy. Maybe they're socially awkward. Maybe they're uncomfortable. People assume that because you're attracted to them, clearly you're outgoing, clearly you're social and you like being around people and you're comfortable with being around people. And that is not always the case. So unfortunately, and research shows that even with children, more attractive children, they tend to get more benefits, but there's also higher expectations put on them because the assumption is that, oh, okay, well, you're attractive, you should be happy. And so it's the same thing with adults. Sometimes we put expectations on individuals because they're attractive.
Good stuff. So I wanted to preface this next meme that we're getting ready to go into, that it is a very sensitive topic, very controversial. And so we do want to unpack it a little bit, but we know that it's a very sensitive topic that we're getting ready to discuss. So we just wanted to prepare you all for that and let you know. So dating in 2022.
So have you always been a woman?
So the ugly truth in regards to this meme is that violence against the transgender population, and it's largely based on the perception that being attracted to a transgender person automatically makes you a homosexual. And so that is the thought process, especially in the mind of a lot of men. That if I'm attracted to a transgender person, then that makes me a homosexual.
So it's a fear.
Absolutely. So it's a fear that is being projected, that is being exhibited from that individual and projected. And again, oftentimes it ends in violence, which is why, again, I know when it comes to being ugly, this is a really ugly situation that can become fatal.
Yeah. But it is a truth. It
Absolutely.
is a truth in 2022 where you have first dates. And first dates, I mean, there's some questions that on a first date, people will ask you. This literally is one of the questions. And some of it being because when you date someone, what if you intentionally say that I know my values, I know what it is, I know my preferences, I know what I prefer. And I prefer to date someone of the opposite sex, or I prefer to date someone of the same sex. And so this question, have you always been a woman? Have you always been a man? Sometimes it's rooted in getting clarity to make sure that this is in alignment with what I choose and what I prefer. And so what do we tell people who, man, first of all, there's a better way to go about this, right? On the first date, that's not something you say. Instead of asking someone, what their lifestyle consists of, why not just be upfront and clear about what you want? To say, hey, my name is Charmaine Jennings. I am heterosexual. I choose to only date men who've always been men, who's biologically men. Like, just be honest about who you are instead of asking someone else and interviewing them about, okay, are you a woman, or are you trans, or are you just be open about who you are and say, I'm very clear about what I want, what I prefer, and what I desire at this point in my life. And are you open to sharing where you are in full transparency? Like, I'm going to be transparent. Are you willing to be transparent? Because that question is offensive.
Yeah. And also too, for those individuals who are transgender, discretion is everyone's right.
That's
true. So
you
absolutely everyone has the right to be discreet in sharing what they want to share and withholding what they want to withhold. However, truth is essential for intimacy and vulnerability. And you talked about vulnerability. So
absolutely.
Truth is essential for building intimacy and vulnerability, and knowing that this is potentially a bridge that you're going to cross and an issue that you potentially are going to address. So making sure you think through this as it relates to how you're going to navigate it and deal with it is what we are discussing. Not telling you what to do, but just saying that this is a reality in 2022.
Right. And being ready to just being clear, concise about what your truth is and what your preference is.
Yep. All right, you all. So we've covered the first 5 of the ugly truth. When it comes to memes and dating, we're going to take another quick commercial break, and we will be back, you all, with more Before I Do. All right, everybody, welcome back to Before I Do. Tonight, we're talking about memes, the ugly, scary truth about dating. And so we went through the first 5, hopefully some really good stuff. I know I learned a lot.
Same.
And so, yeah, we're getting ready to get into our final 5 memes. And so the next meme we have is a really, really interesting one. It says, I want to skip the whole dating stage and just jump forward to the comfortable relationship stage.
Aww.
Now, I believe that in this particular meme, that this person, when they say comfortable, what they actually mean is stable. Because when you say comfortable in a growing, thriving relationship, it's very rarely going to be comfortable. When you're in a growing, thriving relationship, when you're in one where you're also being challenged, and both of you all are being fulfilled individually and pushed individually, but also collectively, you're working on things, it's going to be most of the time far from comfortable. So the challenge then becomes stability. And so comfort can be the enemy of growth, but stability can only be built with trust and time. So when you talk about getting to the stable portion of your relationship, you cannot rush into stability. And even when you see someone, it's like, oh, he's stable, he has a job, he has all his teeth, he goes, but
not that matters.
Sure, it doesn't. But while he may have qualities that make him stable,
yes,
that doesn't necessarily mean that you and that person are immediately going into a stable relationship. That's going to take time, and that comes with building trust.
Well, and I think it goes back to what are you dating? What is your purpose for dating?
Absolutely.
Right? Dating is not just an audition to, is this a good person or is this not a good person, right? Dating also lets you know what is this person's work ethic, their life ethic, right? Do they, when they go through those 4 seasons with you, the winter, the summer, the fall, the spring, when you get into all 4 seasons of that relationship, do they have the stamina? Do they have the work ethic to do this work and to do life with you, right? If you want to get married, it's a life story. We're not just looking for a love story. And so dating should be that process of you asking yourself, is this someone that I can build a life with?
Absolutely.
And so trying to just skip the dating process can be very dangerous.
Absolutely. And it's an opportunity, as you mentioned, to get to know that person. So you know exactly who you're dealing with.
All right, our next one. It says the most important part of any relationship is the first open fart. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, have you done it? If you haven't, you need to. Okay, the first open fart. Now, I don't know. This is an ugly truth. Okay. Do we really need to be encouraging people, to just let it out? To go to the bathroom with the door open. They need to be able to smell your number 2 because you're now number 1 in their life. I know that was so poetic. I'm going to ring the bell on myself. You are so uncomfortable right now.
No, go ahead. I'm listening. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting.
I just got to do it again. The most important part of the relationship is the first open part. Now, this is kind of important for some people. Like, this is really important. Okay. When was the first time, you just let it rip?
Are you asking me or you? This is a hard one for me. And
it is.
It's a hard one for me. And this is part of my ugly. This is part of my ugly.
Oh, truth. Amen. Like
this is part of my ugly truth. And if we've got some people out there that's telling the truth, they will know that this is hard as well. Because what it is, right? When you're dating someone, you have this image of them. You have this image of who they are and how they carry themselves, and you oftentimes forget that they are a whole complete person.
I'm just going to stop him right here. There is a double standard is what it is. Okay. See, somehow males believed in this fairy. See, we bought the lies of the fairy tales. Males somehow believe that women don't. I'm not going to say fart because that's such a casual word. I'm going to say that women don't release foul air.
We don't want to think about none of y'all bodily functions. We don't want to think about none of y'all, but we just don't want to see and know you in that way, because it ruins again the image and the perspective that. But again, what it also does is, in a way, it places you in a box, and it doesn't allow us to embrace you as a complete individual.
Some people will say it is the first day where romance starts to die.
Exactly. Right.
I will admit, I bought into it as well. The first year and a half of us dating, I would go to his apartment, and when I would have to use the restroom, do you know I would run the faucet so he couldn't hear me, urinating. But hello, everybody has to do that. So why?
I appreciated that.
So why would I run the faucet? Because in our mind, women, we have been programmed that, oh, it's not cute when we have certain bodily functions or whatever. And yeah,
we're laughing about this, but this is an ugly truth, and this is a real thing. But here's the thing: on the other side of that, when you get to that place, that's how you build intimacy.
That's true.
That's how you build vulnerability, and that's how you build acceptance. It's really getting granular and letting the rubber meet the road as it relates to the person that you're in a relationship, and being able to embrace them for the individual that they are.
So we leave it to you. Is this the first day that romance dies, or is this the birthing date of when vulnerability and intimacy actually is birthed?
That's a great question.
It
So
really
I
is.
think I think a good speak now question would be, when would you say your partner genuinely saw you? Like really,
your humanity,
like saw your humanity, like genuinely saw you, not just as a person pursuing you, but like genuinely saw you. So if you remember that moment, like if you remember that moment that your partner genuinely saw you, like, put that in the chat. I think we're gonna keep moving, but I think you hit on something with that.
Absolutely. All right. Our next meme, our ugly truth about dating is, it says, I think I will always love you. I'm not 100% sure yet, but it looks very promising.
So this speaks to the various ways that we grow. And in our process, right, we don't all grow the same way, nor do we grow at the same speed. So the question then becomes, the question should be, are you growing? And so, we have to resist to believe that being the first to say I love you loses.
Okay, now.
Because can you ring the bell, please?
Yeah,
so because for men, right? Like that is one of those things to where you trying to be you're fighting to be the last. You fighting to not be the first one to say that I love you, because that means you're vulnerable. That means your nose is open. So again, there's all of these preconceived notions when it comes to the way that I feel about you, and trivializing it and not being honest about it, because it makes me vulnerable, because it puts me in a place where you may not feel the way that I feel. You may not love me as much as I love you. And so this meme, it really speaks to this whole the uncertainty and being unsure oftentimes is predicated upon this individual looking for it back as confirmation of what they feel, and wanting the other person to feel it too.
Well, I'm just going to push back with our clients, and again, book us for a session.
Absolutely.
We do push this. You need to be the leader in the area of the things you expect. If you want vulnerability, you need to be a leader in vulnerability. If you want trust, you need to be a leader in leading trust, and so you need to exercise and build those muscles and execute in the very areas that you want your partner to be able to demonstrate those things.
Absolutely.
All right, next meme
All right. So dating in your 30s. Are we doing this or not? I got things to do. So obviously this is talking about the advanced dating, the advanced age of dating. And 30 obviously isn't old, but in more traditional times, you dated when you were in your teens all the way into like your mid 20s, and then you got married in your mid 20s or potentially early 30s. And so the idea of dating while you're in your 30s now has become commonplace, and even dating in your 40s. But previously it was this idea of, no, you're already married in your 30s because you know who you are.
Right.
So you're dating. So in your 30s, you know who you are. Usually you're settling into who you are professionally and personally. You know what you want. And so, knowing that you are not going to just settle for anything. You're not just going to be dating and trying things out. Does this person have what I need and that I'm looking for in order for me to get to where I'm going in life?
I love this one. This one goes back to look, I'm pretty clear about what I want and I, but are you?
Right.
Because I have things to do. So are we doing this or not? Meaning, there's no room for indecisiveness. Look, I'm ready to go out on a date. Are you ready to go on a date? Well, let's do this. No questions need to be asked. Let's go for it. But if you're not sure, then hey, you can take the time to get yourself together, because I got other things to do. Meaning I'm not going to sit around waiting. I'm pretty confident in my individualism.
Absolutely. And the last meme for tonight.
I've been single for a while, and I have to say it's going really well. It's working out, and I think I'm the one.
Ring the bell.
Yes, yep. You better know it. You better know it, okay? It's working out. I've been dating, and I think I'm the one. Yes, that's that moment where you look in the mirror, and you just like, you know what? I'm thankful for who I am. I accept. I've accepted who I am. I'm confident that I'm growing. I'm evolving. I'm loving who I'm evolving into. Yes, I made some mistakes, but guess what? I'm learning from those mistakes. I'm utilizing those mistakes and to formulate wisdom. I'm gifting this wisdom to other people. This is where you reach a state of that self-actualization, just self-satisfaction.
And when you get to that place, what it allows you to do is that when individuals come into your life, you can see exactly how and where and if they will fit. Because you know exactly who you are and what you need and how that person aligns with your purpose and where you're going. So you have a better idea of how they can support you in your life path.
Yes.
And also you're figuring out how you can support them. What we believe and what we say is that marriage is a combination of three purposes. You have the individual purpose of both persons in the marriage, and then you have a collective purpose as well. So the more that you have a stronger understanding and grasp of who you are and your gifts and your talents and your interests and the things that excite you, then it allows you to be able to really identify how those individuals fit in your life and helping you on your path.
And two things, this might be a season. It doesn't mean that you're never going to want to be in a relationship. This might be a season, but the beauty in this is making sure that you're cultivating the relationship you have with yourself. And we always go back to our clients with that. It doesn't mean you're arrogant. It doesn't mean that you all into yourself and you're cocky, arrogant. No, it's just about making sure that you are in a relationship with yourself and you make that a priority.
Absolutely. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to Before I Do. We've been talking about the ugly truth when it comes to memes and dating. And so next Wednesday is the last Wednesday of the month, which means it is our Speak Now Q&A night. We are here to answer your questions about dating and relationships. So please be sure to text those messages and those questions to 678-700-8996. And we will definitely make sure to get those addressed during our show next week. Again, that number is 678-200.
Here we go.
8996.
Yes.
And we will definitely make sure to address those questions.
Well, this is Before I Do. Again, we hope that you enjoyed the show tonight. My name is Charmaine Jennings.
My name is Walter Jennings. Be sure to reach out to us on couplesacademy.com. Book us for a session.
Yes,
we would love to speak with you and partner with you in your life path. Whether, again, you are in a focusing on the relationship with yourself or in a relationship with someone else, be sure to reach out to us and book a session.
You have a good night.
Night, everybody.
Welcome to the Couples Academy app. The Couples Academy app is your go-to hub for how to do marriage right. Get started with our app today by perusing our amazing features that conveniently allow you to connect. This app is packed with powerful content and resources to help you grow and stay connected. With this app, you can watch our messages, find marriage resources, watch, listen, and read the real-life stories of restored couples, sign up for events, read articles and blog posts, stay up to date with push notifications, share your favorite messages via Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or email, and download messages for offline listening. For more information about the Couples Academy app, go to couplesacademy.com.